Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you truly respected yourself? I mean, really valued who you are, not based on what others think, but because you know your worth. See, too many people are walking around hoping for others to respect them, but they don't even respect themselves. They let people walk all over them, say yes to things they should say no to, and stay in situations that make them miserable because they're afraid of upsetting someone. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you tolerate. The way you allow others to treat you is the standard you set for your life. If you let people disrespect you, take advantage of you, or walk all over you, they will keep doing it. But when you stand up and say, I am worth more than this, everything begins to change. A lot of people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear rejection. They think if I stand up for myself, they might get mad at me. If I say no, they might walk away. And you know what? That's possible. But let me ask you, if someone only wants to be in your life because you allow them to mistreat you, is that really the kind of relationship you need? When you respect yourself, you show others how to respect you. You set the tone. People will only do to you what you allow. If you constantly let others interrupt you, ignore your feelings, or make you feel small, you are sending the message that their behavior is acceptable. And let's be honest, people will push as far as you let them. This doesn't mean you have to be rude or aggressive. It doesn't mean you have to start arguments or demand respect from everyone you meet. But it does mean you have to be firm in how you allow others to treat you. Think about it. If someone keeps making sarcastic comments at your expense and you laugh it off every time, they will keep doing it. If someone never values your time and always shows up late and you just accept it without saying anything, they'll never change. If you keep bending over backwards for people who wouldn't lift a finger for you, they will keep expecting you to. Respecting yourself means recognizing when enough is enough. It means being clear about what you will and will not tolerate. It means understanding that you do not have to put up with constant negativity, manipulation, or mistreatment just to keep the peace. Some people are not going to like it when you start standing up for yourself. They've gotten used to you always saying yes. They've gotten comfortable with you always being available, always doing what they want, always putting their needs before your own. So when you start saying no, when you start setting boundaries, when you start demanding the respect you deserve, don't be surprised if they push back. But hear me when I say this. You are not responsible for making others comfortable at the expense of your own well-being. If someone truly values you, they will respect your boundaries. They will understand that you are a person with your own needs, thoughts, and emotions. And if they don't, then maybe it's time to reevaluate their place in your life. This applies to every area of your life, your friendships, your relationships, your workplace, even your family. If someone is constantly draining you, disrespecting you, or treating you in a way that makes you feel small, you have every right to set a boundary. You are not obligated to be someone's emotional punching bag. You are not required to keep allowing people to hurt you just because you've known them for a long time. Now, this doesn't mean you shut people out or become cold-hearted. It simply means you learn to love yourself enough to expect better. It means you stop explaining away bad behavior. It means you stop making excuses for why someone keeps hurting you. It means you stop lowering your standards just to make someone else comfortable. You have to decide what you will and will not allow in your life. If someone is constantly belittling you, if they never support you, if they drain your energy every time you talk to them, it's time to address it. You don't have to be harsh, but you do have to be firm. I don't appreciate being spoken to like that. I need you to respect my time. I can't keep giving without anything in return. And let's be clear, setting boundaries does not mean you don't love people. In fact, it's the opposite. When you set boundaries, you are protecting your peace, your joy, and your emotional well-being. You're ensuring that the relationships in your life are healthy, balanced, and respectful. The truth is, people will treat you the way you allow them to. If you let them walk all over you, they will. If you stand up for yourself, they will either respect you more or remove themselves from your life. Either way, you win. One of the biggest struggles people face is not knowing their own worth. They look to others for validation, hoping that if someone loves them, approves of them, or acknowledges them, they will finally feel valuable. But here's the truth. Your worth is not determined by someone else's opinion of you. It's not based on how many people like you, how successful you are, or how much you have achieved. Your worth is already established, and it does not decrease just because someone fails to see it. Too many people spend their lives chasing after validation, trying to prove that they are good enough. They exhaust themselves working harder, pleasing people, and trying to be everything to everyone, all in the hope that they will finally feel like they matter. But the problem is when you attach your worth to external things, people's opinions, your job, your appearance, you will always be on an emotional roller coaster. The moment someone disapproves of you, you'll start questioning yourself. The moment something goes wrong, you'll feel like a failure. The moment someone rejects you, you'll think you're not enough. But knowing your worth means understanding that your value does not change based on circumstances. You don't become more valuable when people praise you, and you don't become less valuable when they criticize you. You are worthy simply because you exist. The way you see yourself affects everything in your life, your relationships, your career, your confidence, and even the decisions you make. If you don't believe you're worth more, you'll settle for less. You'll stay in toxic relationships because you think that's the best you can get. You'll accept jobs that drain you because you don't believe you're capable of more. You'll let people take advantage of you because deep down you don't see yourself as someone who deserves better. But when you know your worth, everything shifts. You stop tolerating things that don't align with your value. You stop entertaining relationships that drain you. You stop allowing people to treat you any kind of way. You walk with a different level of confidence, not arrogance, but a quiet assurance that says, I know who I am and I refuse to settle for less than I deserve. Knowing your worth also means letting go of the lies you've believed about yourself. Maybe someone told you that you weren't good enough. Maybe your past mistakes make you feel like you don't deserve good things. Maybe life has beaten you down so much that you've started to believe that you are less than. But those lies do not define you. Just because you've been broken doesn't mean you're worthless. Just because someone didn't appreciate you doesn't mean you are not valuable. Think about a $100 bill. If you crumple it, step on it, and throw it on the ground, does it lose its value? No, it's still worth $100. The same is true for you. No matter what you've been through, no matter who has hurt you, no matter how many times you've felt rejected, your worth remains the same. But here's the thing, you have to believe it. No one else can do this for you. People can encourage you, they can compliment you, they can tell you how special you are, but if you don't believe it for yourself, you will keep looking for something outside of you to prove what should already be settled in your heart. Knowing your worth means carrying yourself in a way that reflects your value. It means speaking to yourself with kindness instead of constantly tearing yourself down. It means refusing to let fear or insecurity dictate your choices. It means holding your head high even when life gets tough because you understand that your worth is not based on how things appear, but on who you are at your core. It also means being patient with yourself. Growth takes time, healing takes time. Learning to fully embrace your worth is a process. But the more you practice walking in your true value, the more it will become second nature. You will begin to make choices that align with the truth of who you are. You will start attracting people and opportunities that reflect your worth. You will no longer settle for anything that makes you feel small, invisible, or your worth has never been in question. It has never been up for debate. It was never something you had to earn. The only question is, do you believe it? One of the most important things you can do for yourself is set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not about being rude, selfish, or shutting people out. They're about protecting your peace, your time, and your emotional well-being. When you don't have boundaries, you allow others to control your life, dictate your emotions, and drain your energy. But when you learn to set limits, you gain freedom. Freedom from being used, freedom from unnecessary stress, and freedom to focus on what truly matters. A lack of boundaries often comes from a fear of disappointing others. You don't want to upset anyone, so you keep saying yes when you really want to say no. You allow people to take advantage of your kindness because you're afraid they won't like you if you push back. But the truth is, every time you ignore your own needs just to keep others happy, you are teaching them that your feelings don't matter. And if you don't value your own needs, why would anyone else? Setting boundaries means recognizing that you are responsible for your own well-being. No one else is going to protect your time, your energy, or your peace. Only you can do that. You have to decide what is acceptable and what is not in your relationships, your work, and your personal life. And once you set those limits, you have to stick to them. Boundaries are not just about saying no. They're also about defining how you want to be treated. If someone consistently disrespects you, you have to let them know that their behavior is not okay. If someone keeps taking advantage of your kindness, you have to be willing to step back. If a situation is draining you emotionally, mentally, or physically, you have every right to walk away. People who are used to controlling you, manipulating you, or benefiting from your lack of boundaries will not like it when you start standing up for yourself. They might call you selfish, rude, or even accuse you of changing. And in a way, they're right. You are changing, you are growing, you are learning to put yourself first in a healthy way, and not everyone will support that. But that's okay. The right people will respect your boundaries, and the wrong people will expose themselves. One of the biggest misconceptions about boundaries is that they push people away, but in reality, boundaries actually improve relationships. When you set clear expectations, you remove confusion, frustration, and resentment. You don't have to walk on eggshells feeling like you're being taken for granted. You create space for honesty, respect, and mutual appreciation. Healthy relationships thrive on healthy boundaries. Boundaries are also necessary in your personal life. You need boundaries with work so you don't burn out. You need boundaries with social media so you don't become consumed by distractions. You need boundaries with toxic people so they don't rob you of your peace. You need boundaries with yourself so you don't fall into unhealthy habits. There will always be people who try to test your limits, but you don't have to bend just to keep them happy. You don't have to justify why you need space. You don't have to feel guilty for protecting your energy. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's emotions. You can be kind, loving, and compassionate while still having boundaries that keep you healthy and whole. The most important thing about boundaries is consistency. If you set a boundary but constantly let people cross it, they will never take it seriously. You have to mean what you say and follow through with action. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to standing up for yourself. But the more you practice, the stronger you will become. Learning to set boundaries is an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that you value yourself enough to protect your heart, your mind, and your life from things that drain, harm, or take advantage of you. The moment you start setting boundaries, you take back control over your own life. You stop living for other people's expectations and start prioritizing what's best for you. One of the biggest traps you can fall into is living for the approval of others. So many people spend their entire lives trying to please everyone, trying to fit in, trying to be accepted, trying to make sure nobody is upset with them. But the truth is, no matter how hard you try, you will never make everyone happy. There will always be someone who disapproves of you, someone who criticizes you, someone who thinks you should be doing things differently. And if you base your self-worth on what others think, you will spend your life exhausted, frustrated, and constantly second-guessing yourself. Seeking approval is a never-ending cycle. You change who you are to make one person happy, but then someone else has a problem with you. You adjust your personality, your decisions, your dreams, only to realize that no matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion. And here's the truth. People's opinions are just that, opinions. They are not facts. They do not define you. They do not determine your value. When you constantly seek approval, you give away your power. You allow other people to dictate your choices, your happiness, and even your identity. You start making decisions based on what others expect instead of what you truly want. You start suppressing your voice, your dreams, and your passions just to avoid criticism. And the worst part, you will never feel truly fulfilled because you're living someone else's version of your life instead of your own. The need for approval often comes from a deep fear of rejection. Maybe you grew up always trying to prove yourself. Maybe you felt like you had to earn love and acceptance. Maybe you were taught that your value depends on how others see you. But the truth is, real confidence doesn't come from external validation. It comes from knowing who you are and standing firm in that no matter what anyone else says. You don't need permission to be yourself. You don't need approval to follow your dreams. You don't need everyone to like you in order to be worthy. The people who truly matter will love and accept you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. And the ones who don't, they were never meant to have a say in your life to begin with. The moment you stop seeking approval, you set yourself free. You free yourself from the pressure of always trying to be perfect. You free yourself from the exhaustion of people-pleasing. You free yourself from the fear of rejection, and you start living with confidence, with purpose, and with a sense of peace that no amount of approval could ever give you. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It doesn't mean you become rude or inconsiderate. It simply means you no longer let other people's opinions control you. You learn to trust yourself. You learn to make decisions based on what's right for you, not based on what will make everyone else comfortable. Some people are not going to like it when you stop seeking approval. They've gotten used to you always saying yes, always putting their needs first, always worrying about what they think. But that's not your problem to fix. The people who truly care about you will respect your choices, even if they don't always agree with them. When you let go of the need for approval, you start living with authenticity. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's mold. You stop apologizing for who you are. You stop worrying about whether everyone understands you. And instead, you start walking in confidence, knowing that you are enough just as you are. Taking care of yourself is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Too many people run themselves into the ground, constantly giving, working, and pushing forward without ever stopping to ask, am I okay? They pour out everything they have for others, but they never take time to refill their own cup. They feel guilty when they rest, ashamed when they say no, and selfish when they prioritize their own well-being. But the truth is, you cannot give your best to others if you are constantly running on empty. Self-care is not just about taking a break. It's about valuing yourself enough to recognize when you need to slow down, when you need to recharge, and when you need to set limits. It's about knowing that you matter too. It's about understanding that you don't have to earn rest. And you don't need permission to take care of yourself. There will always be more to do. The to-do list never ends. The demands never stop. People will always want more of you, more time, more energy, more effort. And if you don't set boundaries, if you don't make yourself a priority, you will find yourself drained, resentful, and exhausted. Taking care of yourself is not about neglecting your responsibilities. It's about making sure that you have the strength to handle them without losing yourself in the process. Your body will tell you when it's had enough. Your mind will give you signals when it's overwhelmed. Your emotions will start to show signs of exhaustion when you've been neglecting yourself for too long. But the question is, are you listening? Are you paying attention to the stress, the fatigue, the anxiety, and the burnout? Are you pushing through, telling yourself that you'll rest later, that you'll slow down when everything is done? The problem is, if you don't take care of yourself, eventually your body will force you to. Stress turns into sickness. Exhaustion turns into breakdowns. Burnout turns into a complete loss of motivation. You cannot run on empty forever. At some point, you have to stop and refuel. Taking care of yourself means different things for different people. Maybe it means getting enough sleep instead of staying up late trying to finish everything. Maybe it means saying no to commitments that drain you. Maybe it means stepping away from toxic relationships that steal your peace. Maybe it means taking time to do things that bring you joy instead of always focusing on what needs to be done. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's not wrong to step back when you need to. It's not a sign of weakness to admit that you need a break. In fact, it's one of the strongest things you can do, because when you take care of yourself, you are showing up as the best version of you, not the tired, frustrated, burned out version that's just barely getting by. The people in your life benefit when you take care of yourself. Your family gets a better version of you, your work improves, your relationships become healthier, your mind becomes clearer, everything in your life functions better when you are physically, mentally, and emotionally well. But that can only happen when you make yourself a priority. Taking care of yourself is not just about physical health, it's about emotional and mental well-being too. It's about learning to manage stress instead of letting it consume you. It's about letting go of things that weigh you down. It's about creating space for rest, joy, and peace. It's about reminding yourself that you are just as important as the people you take care of. There will always be people who don't understand why you need to take a step back. There will be moments when you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself, but you have to remind yourself that you cannot be everything for everyone while neglecting yourself. You cannot keep pouring out without taking the time to be filled back up. You deserve the same care, love, and attention that you so freely give to others. The words you speak over yourself have incredible power. They shape your thoughts, influence your actions, and determine how you see yourself. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, that you're always making mistakes, then those words will become your reality. But when you choose to speak life, to affirm your worth, and to replace negativity with truth, you change the way you see yourself and the way you show up in the world. Too many people tear themselves down without even realizing it. They say things like, I'm so stupid, I'll never get this right, I always mess up, or I'm not as good as them. They speak words over themselves that they would never say to someone they love. Imagine if a friend came to you struggling with doubt and fear, and instead of encouraging them, you told them, you're not good enough, you'll never make it, and there's no point in trying. You wouldn't do that to someone else, so why do it to yourself? The problem is that many people have been conditioned to believe that speaking positively about themselves is prideful or unrealistic. They think that if they say, I am capable, I am strong, or I am worthy, they are being arrogant. But there is nothing arrogant about acknowledging your values. Speaking positively about yourself is not about denying your weaknesses. It's about choosing to focus on your strengths. It's about shifting your mindset from defeat to possibility. Your mind believes what you tell it repeatedly. If you keep telling yourself that you can't, your mind will look for proof that you can't. But if you start saying, I can learn, I can improve, and I am capable, your mind will begin to align with that truth. This is not just about wishful thinking. It's about rewiring your brain to believe in your potential instead of your limitation. When you speak positively about yourself, you build confidence. Confidence is not about having all the answers or never making mistakes. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you are strong enough to handle it. It's about trusting yourself, believing in your abilities, and refusing to let fear dictate your choices. When you affirm yourself daily, you create a foundation of self-trust that allows you to take risks, step out of your comfort zone, and pursue the things you were meant to do. Speaking positively about yourself also changes the way others see you. If you constantly put yourself down, people will start to believe what you say. If you walk into a room apologizing for who you are, people will treat you as if you are less than. But when you carry yourself with confidence, when you speak with assurance, when you know your worth, people will respond to that. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others treat you. This doesn't mean you ignore areas where you need to grow. Growth is important and self-awareness is necessary. But even when you are working on yourself, you can still choose to speak kindly to yourself. Instead of saying, I'll never get this right, you can say, I'm learning. Instead of saying, I'm not smart enough, you can say, I am growing every day. Instead of saying, I'm a failure, you can say, I've made mistakes, but I am not my mistakes. Changing the way you speak about yourself doesn't happen overnight. It takes intentional effort. You have to catch yourself when you start speaking negatively and replace those words with something empowering. You have to practice daily affirmations, reminding yourself of your worth, your strength, and your potential. You have to drown out the negative voices, whether they come from your own mind or from other people, and choose to believe the truth about who you are. Your words have power. They can either build you up or tear you down. They can push you forward or hold you back. The choice is yours. Speak life, speak strength, and speak possibility over yourself. You are more powerful than you realize, and it all starts with the words you choose to believe. Confidence and purpose go hand in hand. When you know who you are and what you are meant to do, you carry yourself differently. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop second-guessing every decision. You stop living for the approval of others. Instead, you step forward boldly, knowing that you were created for something greater. But confidence doesn't just appear overnight. It's something you build. It's something you develop through the choices you make every single day. Confidence is not about never feeling fear or doubt. It's about refusing to let those feelings control you. It's about standing firm even when uncertainty tries to shake you. One of the biggest confidence killers is comparison. The moment you start looking at what someone else has, what someone else is doing, or how someone else is living, you begin to doubt yourself. You start thinking you're not enough, that you're behind, that you'll never measure up. But the truth is, you were never meant to walk someone else's path. Your journey is unique, your calling is different, and the only way to truly walk in confidence is to stay focused on what's in front of you, not what's happening in someone else's life. People who walk in confidence are not people who have never failed. They are not people who have it all figured out. They are simply people who have decided that failure will not define them, that fear will not stop them, that doubt will not keep them from moving forward. Confidence is a decision. It's a choice you make every day to trust yourself, to believe in your abilities, and to refuse to let setbacks determine your future. And then there's purpose. If you don't know your purpose, it's easy to feel lost. It's easy to wake up every day just going through the motions, feeling unfulfilled, wondering if your life really matters. But when you understand that you were created for something meaningful, everything changes. Purpose gives your life direction. It gives you a reason to get up in the morning. It gives you the strength to keep going when things get tough. Too many people spend their lives waiting for their purpose to be revealed in some dramatic way. They think they need a grand sign, a big moment, or someone to come along and tell them exactly what they are supposed to do. But purpose is not something you wait for. It's something you step into. It's something you discover by moving forward, by taking action, by being willing to try, learn, and grow. Purpose is not just about what you do. It's about who you are. It's about the way you show up in the world. It's about how you impact others, how you use your gifts, how you live with intention. When you walk in purpose, you don't waste time trying to be like everyone else. You focus on what you are here to do, and you do it with everything in you. Walking in confidence and purpose means refusing to settle for less than what you were created for. It means stepping into opportunities even when they scare you. It means believing that you are capable even when you don't feel like it. It means knowing that your life is valuable, that your gifts matter, and that you have something to offer the world. There will always be challenges. There will always be moments when you feel unsure. There will always be voices, sometimes even your own, that try to tell you that you're not enough. But you don't have to listen. You don't have to shrink back. You don't have to let fear hold you prisoner. Confidence is built through action. The more you step out in faith, the more you prove to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. The more you take risks, the more you learn that failure is not the end. It's just a step toward growth. The more you walk in purpose, the more you realize that your life is not meant to be lived in hesitation and fear, but in boldness and faith. The world needs what you have to offer. It needs your voice, your perspective, your talents. But you have to be willing to show up. You have to be willing to walk in confidence and purpose, knowing that you are equipped, you are strong, and you are exactly where you need to be to step into everything you were meant for.